Good evening, everybody. It is 6 o'clock on Tuesday night, April 6th. This is our City of Monroe work session. Let the record reflect that we have a few absences tonight. Ross is on the way to Mississippi. Norman couldn't be here, and I don't think Ms. Malcolm can be here either. Other than that, we do have everyone else present. We have a quorum. Moving right into our city administrator update, Mr. Probst.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, all around, it's just kind of busy. We're all trying to keep up with all the local economic development projects, such as Monroe Pavilion. That's clicking along. There's about 1 million moving parts to that. Just as you saw in the development agreement, all that's coming to life now. So I think just about every element of staff is busy with that project at some point during the day. There's houses being thrown out by the dozens within our service territories and within the city. Plenty to keep up with there. A lot of good things going on, a lot of buildings being renovated for new uses, a lot of exciting things still to come in the downtown area. Do want to note that there were several significant alcohol reform bills in the Georgia State Legislature this past session. Most of it will move on to the governor's desk. Of note is HB 273, which will benefit breweries like Southern Brewing and eventually Major Humphreys. So there'll be a positive economic benefit with that one. Senate Bill 145 was the package store referendum. That changed the threshold from obtaining signatures from 35% of your registered voters down to 20%. So that's moving on through. And there were two kind of companion bills for alcohol to go, which pertain to mixed drinks and other alcoholic beverages that can be sold to go. And this changes it from the local level to the state level. And then on some elements of the bills, I believe it was 219, there's local opt-outs. If, municipalities don't agree with the state law, they can then opt out. But otherwise, it's blanket, and it's intended to be economic development benefit. Coming up next month, staff has been working on the infill overlay districts and the expanded central business district. We're still working through a couple mechanisms there. We're going to have that before the Planning and Zoning Commission before it makes its way to you all in the following month. So that'll be May, June on the calendar. That's all I have tonight, Mayor.
All right, well, thank you. Are there any questions for Logan? Really? Moving to Mr. Bailey, Central Services.
Thank you, sir. Facilities and grounds during the month of March picked up 5,700 pounds of trash. That's a far uptick from what they've done in past months, just hitting some different areas. Nobody was out sick either during March, so that was kind of nice. The police station, we are, again, nearing the end of it. It's like a broken record almost, but I mean, we've got a couple of door locks that malfunction that we're having to change. RV's window's broken. So just just a couple of things. I mean, and it's just that little bitty stuff right at the end that you just can't knock out, but everything's coming along. I feel like we're on a good timeline to get in there by sometime in the summer to maybe become operational. And we're there. We just actually got to get there. Solid waste CIP update, and Danny may hit on this just a little bit. We're looking at some big projects coming up at the transfer station with the actual floor. And then, too, I'm sure Danny will update you guys. Both of our loaders are down right now. So, I don't know, by the end of the week, we'll probably have a truck with a plow on the front of it pushing trash into haulers. But we'll do what we've got to do. Then I know Sadie will hit on, I think, the cleanup day that's coming up April 24th. That's Community Volunteer Day that we'll have Kona Ice on hand, I think, from 11 to 12 to provide for volunteers and everybody that are helping. The GPS replacement that I had requested last month is actually nearing completion. All the installs should be complete probably by mid next week, I hope. And then the last big thing, I actually laid it in front of you guys, it's the big 11 by 17, is the project timeline that you'd asked for from various departments last month. This one, and Mr. Thompson, we didn't get quite time coordinated, but he's got his in his report. This one actually includes all of central services, airport, streets, solid waste, water, sewer, gas, stormwater, and then some other various things. So there's quite a list that's there. I tried to include codes, project budgets, the budget we're running with, the expenses to date, who's actually doing the project, what we're at as far as status, if it's in design, pre-construction, construction, waiting for bids, material order dates, lead times, whether it was seal bid or not, start times, timeline to completion, and then the major milestones of those projects that we're looking to actually hit during that process to get us closer to complete. So hopefully this provides close to kind of what we were looking for, to give you guys just kind of that ongoing update. And what we'll do is we'll update them monthly so that you'll have them to kind of follow. And maybe as we do, I might email them out so you have them actually there as opposed to having to reference this. So,
Is there any chance we could get like a Google sheet that everybody could just kind of check in on, like can view and not edit? Like only you guys could edit it?
I mean, we can try anything. But yeah, so, I mean, any questions on any of that, I'll be happy to answer. Like I say, just kind of look through it. It's a lot of detail, a lot of numbers, but it's useful. It's even useful for us, I mean, to kind of know what the other's working on. So it was a very good process.
Are there any questions for Chris? Anything else, Chris?
No, sir.
This is exactly what I had in mind. This is, because I think when you're given reports, we generally get caught up on the one or two things that of interest, and then you keep going and we get lost. So having this all out right in front of us, it looks great. And actually, it looks kind of daunting. So thank you.
Yeah, that's what I thought when I looked at it.
Prior to going to committee information, I do need a motion to amend the agenda, moving apron hangar site paving from the airport in committee info to an action item that will be after items of discussion. So we'll make that 3A before mayor's update. And again, that's the apron hangar site paving.
Move to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Little and a second.
Second.
Second by Tyler Gregory. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. That passes. Thank you. We'll move that and come back to it after committee information. Moving to finance, Mr. Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Thompson, if you'll please read the financial report.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Gregory. Malden Jenkins are finishing up our audit this week. They're hopefully, they keep telling me that each week, but they are on the finishing up open items this week, and we hope to have final numbers within the next couple of weeks. And we hope to have the CAFR presented to you at next month's meeting. The report that is attached is as of February. Overall revenues and expenses year-to-date for the first 2 months are trending within budget, as they should be. Our sales tax collections continue to increase year over year. Our current month is a 31.5% increase over last year. However, y'all recall last year we had a partial shutdown of everything, so that is a big increase. But even over 2019, we still are seeing a 28% increase over 2019 at the same time that year. Our property tax collections have exceeded what was budgeted. We are actually at 98% of the 2020 levy. We were only short $76,000 of the total tax that was levied for 2020, so that is a good thing. We are also awaiting guidance to be released regarding the American Rescue Plan from the Department of Treasury. We hope to get that in the next 30 to 60 days. So we were expected to receive 50% of the funds that are allotted to us under that plan. And I am on a weekly Zoom meeting with the National League of Cities and GMA, getting updates on that each week. So hopefully we can follow that guidance and get those funds to the city of Monroe as quickly as we can. And that's all I have. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Are there any questions for Ms. Thompson? All right, Mr. Mayor, I think we're good.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Beth. Moving to airport, we'll just go straight to Chris Bailey.
Thank you, sir. The easiest, quickest update for the airport is it's currently shut down. Atlanta paving and concrete started yesterday morning, bright and early. They've I think right now, milled close to 4 miles, different runs. They're getting at it. Everything's going smooth. A lot of the pilots, they were complimentary to the fact that when we shut it down, construction actually started, so I was happy to that fact too. But, you know, let's just, fingers crossed for good weather. They've been great in the pre-construction meetings, and great so far as, you know, far as construction getting started. So I'm encouraged to the fact that we'll hopefully get this done quicker than the 28 days that was anticipated. So hopefully I won't come back next month and say we're still working on it, we're still closed. So,
Yeah.
be glad to
Thank you,
take any questions.
Chris. Are there any questions? The AWAS, we put a message on that?
It is shut down.
You're the man. Thank you. Moving to Public Works, Mr. Dickinson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Smith, solid waste, please.
Thank you, Mr. Dickinson. Chris mentioned the project at the transfer station. The contractor is supposed to move in Friday to get started. We're going to shut down at 12 o'clock. They're going to need the time to prep, and they should be completed by Monday. However, he did mention the loader. I mean, I know we do have it on the agenda. Well, I'll get to it later. We can just include the information. But the transfer station tonnage, we're trending 1,000 tons more than we were last year in February. Curbside recycling, the 65-gallon cart, we did get off to a good start yesterday. That we did discover we had a lot of service, a lot of customers wasn't on our service list, so we're gonna have to find out who they are, and we're asking them to call the office so we can get them a container, and some of the ones that want to participate to give us a call. Just want the service reminder, we was getting some questions about glass. We do collect the glass separate. We also would prefer them not to put their recyclables in a plastic bag. We want them to have it loose in the container, and the information is on top of the lid. And to separate the cart from their garbage cart, especially for the customers that have the side loader, if it's cut, because it's making it kind of hard for them to get to it. So that information is also on top of the lid, where you can at least 3 to 4 feet separated. Oversized cardboard, if we could get the customers to just bundle them the best they can, set it next to the container, and starting in April, or next Monday, matter of fact, we're gonna run a separate truck to collect the cardboard, and we've talked with Walton County. They want all we can get. So we'll take the cardboard straight to them. And other than that, we should be okay. There was some customers that felt like the container was a little big for them, but we're gonna accommodate. So we'll allow them to keep that 18-gallon container, and we'll accommodate them, you know, to make sure, especially if they want to recycle, because we want to encourage them to do so. Like I mentioned, the glass customers, we up to about 274 customers, and same thing, just make sure the glass is rinsed out clean, no Pyrex, no mirrors, anything other than the glass jars and bottles. And I'll take any questions anybody may have right now.
Danny, I guess as a personal customer thing, I appreciate the fact that you're doing the glass, because that's been a big issue. But I got a question on the cardboard leaving outside the bin, you said? Is that like when you break down boxes? Is that kind of?
Yes, sir. There's some oversized boxes. You know, a lot of people do a lot of online shopping, and they do have a lot of oversized boxes. So some of the chipboard, you know, like cereal boxes, that type material can go inside the container. But some of the oversized boxes, if you can just break them down, like TVs, 75-inch TVs, furniture, that kind of thing. If you just break them down the best you can and just set it to the curb close to the container. And we're proposing to send a separate truck to just throw it in the back, compact it, and take it to keep Walton beautiful.
Thank you.
Is there a way that, and maybe I've just missed it actually, the same sheets that you gave out with the bins, which we received ours, and thank you very much, that we could use the digital form of that on social media and just kind of spread that a little bit more in case somebody threw it away, didn't look at it?
Okay, yeah, we can do that. I can get with Chris. Yeah, we can do that.
Get it up in the morning.
Somebody, no.
Yeah, some of the information was more of a FYI, this sheet that a lot of customers got, and they was getting confused about the glass. All it was is just showing you why, the reason, the benefit of recycling. That's pretty much what this was about. The little card was really for the instructions that came like this. And of course, some customers kind of overlooked it. But we'll continue to send out information.
Yeah, I spoke with Chris and Danny today about kind of doing a social media series of posts for, Solid Waste 101 for our new customers. We have a lot of those in town now, and our existing customers as well. Getting them back up to speed on exactly what we take, what we don't take, and then how things should be disposed of. So look for that in the coming days. We'll start.
I'll become your somebody.
One general rule, and I grew up learning, everything has a place, find it.
All right, let's move on to the next item, which is the emergency purchase of the boom for the loader.
Thank you. Yes, we had to make an emergency purchase to replace a boom on the backup loader. I have a photograph in there with the X where it marks the spot where it broke. It supports an 8-ton bucket. And our goal is to always have both loaders running because the trucks never stop coming. And there's time where we have to service the main loader. We have to use this loader to keep the flow. Unfortunately, today, around this afternoon, the primary loader went down. We had a metal hose that went down. So we're down, both of them are down. The timing's not good because we do need to clean the facility out by Friday. We can get the part for the primary loader. It's under warranty, so we should get the part tomorrow, and hopefully, if John Deere come and install it, they can have it ready by Thursday morning. But other than that, we're stuck right now. We do have Jeremiah has one of his guys operating a trike hoe excavator to do what we can to load trailers right now. But that's why we was needing the part, and it still hadn't arrived yet.
All right, so we just need a motion to approve the purchase from Flint, $19,714.11. So somebody give me a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Little, second by Mr. Gregory. All in favor state aye. Aye. No opposition. That passes. Moving on to the next item, streets and transportation. Mr. Still.
Thank you, Mr. Dixon. Unless you have some questions over the report, I'll just highlight some things that we got going on right now, starting with what you've probably all seen on the way in, making good progress on the parking lot for public use across the street. The footings have been poured. The wall, hopefully, weather permitting, will be done by the end of the week. The wall will set for about 7 days before any backfilling can happen after that, and then we'll see some movement in the parking lot, some asphalt repair, seal coating, then we'll come in and stripe it, and it'll look really, really nice compared to what it looks like now. Our guys have also done some, over the past month or so, some extensive work at our airport, and in our parks. With the airport, they've put the road in around the T-hangar, graded and rocked, built that roadway for it. All the slopes, we did a lot of grading on it and matting and grassing. In the parks, I think we've demoed 8 buildings, as part of the rehab throughout our parks. Something we're gonna try this year, fixing to get into that now, waiting on one more quote to come in for our sidewalk repair throughout the city. We're gonna do in-house the demo in the locations where we decide to move forward with some sidewalk repair, and then have a contractor come in and form and pour, and just compare that to numbers that we've used in the past to see which way we get more bang for our buck. I feel like this way is gonna be more efficient, and also free up our guys for other projects. So we're waiting on some quotes to come in where we can finish that and move forward from there. Our LMIG work, it's gonna consist of East Washington, Pinecrest, and Plaza Drive, not counting Bryant Road, but we're waiting, or the engineers have sent out a request for bid for all the milling. So I'm waiting on those numbers to come in. That email went out to those guys end of last week. So hopefully within the next week or so, we'll have some numbers come back in on that, and we'll see where we stack up. We've never done this type of approach as far as our pavement preservation, and this is where we're at now. We've talked about it for several months, and feet's fixing to be put to the fire, so to speak, when it comes down to it. So we'll see probably some big numbers come in. So we'll have to find and use some funds that we have for this, as well as our LMIG funds, to get us through this, and it'll set the standard moving forward for it. Hot topic, it's finally April, which is the target month for South Madison to be paved. I talked with Tommy McClellan and we got the engineers on site this morning about the timeline of that. First week of April was the target date. They're still not here, but they're coming. It's gonna happen this month. And then part of that will be included in our LMIG project. It'll be from Spring Street all the way out to Highway 11, milled down 2 inches and paved back, along with the rest of the stuff that was involved in that CDBG project. That, among daily stuff, daily maintenance, with our right-of-way, the grass guys are out wide open now, cutting and picking up litter. And we're getting in where we fit in, whatever we need to do to make stuff happen. It's what we're doing. We're as busy now as we've ever been. We're all over the place, and I'll be glad to take any questions that you might have from it.
Jeremiah, are you having a hard time getting materials? Are you,
Materials for,
any of your work, your paving?
oh
I
no,
know- I
people
know-
they love making asphalt right now.
What do they do?
Diesel prices drive that market as well as concrete, so those numbers, been able to do as much as we've planned to do is not gonna happen.
Concrete doubled, right?
Since, I'd be willing to say 2015, concrete's went up every quarter. Wow. Asphalt fluctuates with the fuel market. Right now, asphalt, we're paying about $62.10 a ton, for the topping, which is not bad. Concrete is outrageous. But no trouble getting it.
Well, it's the main part right now. All right, thank you.
All right, so let's move to the landscaping topic.
And I'll take that one. This is essentially part of the Roadside Enhancement and Beautification Council, the grant award that we received in October of 2020 for $31,000, at which point then we turned it over to Keckenwood to do us a landscape design for the entrance area at North Highway 11 and Charlotte Rowell. It'll be in that little corner across from Bojangles. And this is the landscaping portion, black oak Inc. actually came in at the low bid. Kecken Wood put out everything for us, and it's for $35,000. We use additional $4,000 from SPOS to pay for the difference to cover this, and just asking for approval to proceed.
All right, need a motion to approve.
I motion to approve.
Motion by Mr. Gregory, second by Mr. Little. All in favor state aye.
Aye.
No opposition. That's approved, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everybody. Mr. Little, utilities?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Thompson, you got the electric and telecom report.
Thank you, Mr. Little. First thing I want to talk about is the terrible tornado in the city of Newnan. We had 5 staff members spend 7 days there helping with the restoration at the height. Just for the city of Newnan, there were 115 different crew members from different cities, contractors, Georgia Power, and some EMCs. When I showed up Friday morning, I think they had 65 to 70% of their system off. You never want to have an F4 tornado come anywhere near you. I've been on a lot of tornadoes, several hurricanes, and that was the worst I've ever seen. The worst problem we had beyond, just the destruction was the rubberneckers, people just riding around, looking at stuff, using their cameras to video it. It took our staff 2.5 hours to go 3 miles to pick up poles and come back to the site because of traffic. That was just the biggest problem we ran into there. And Union handled the storm well. They were well coordinated beyond the traffic. They had material, they had it, and everybody was nice and happy for the guys to be there. Everybody came home safe. Very lucky that only one individual lost his life. I do not understand how some of those people got out of those houses, but we were well received, and they were happy for the help we gave them. And I hope one day we never need them, but if we do, they'll come. Temp Power has been delivered to Publix, and we can expand on that a little bit. We've got the conduit, or by tomorrow afternoon, we'll have the conduit installed all the way down the backside of the existing structure that you see out there. That'll allow us to give temp power to those sites as they start internal construction. We're not installing the bigger wire for the primary power until they get a little further along. I don't want that wire cut. That wire is expensive, but the conduits are in place, and all we got to do is go out there and pull those through. The transformer plan that we made a year ago has worked out well for Building A and Publix, and for the rest of them, they've changed every day this week. But we've been able to meet their changes with existing stock. To the mayor's question about material, I can't get anything in a timely manner. Transformers are at 13 to 22 weeks, depending on who you order them from. And everything we buy that has any kind of petroleum-based plastic, any kind of copper, is pushing out weeks and months. Not sure what's causing it. We're getting different reaction. It could be just everybody's building right now. It could be, some of them are saying COVID has shut down some of their plants and their supply lines. I don't know what it is. I've never seen a bid come back for a transformer for 22-week lead time. And I've got several of them sitting up there at the warehouse right now. So lead times for us are getting to be troublesome. The first order of the Corning FlexNAP, which is the product we're going to be using to do all the overhead deployment of the fiber project, is in the warehouse. It's not the complete order, but it's part of it. It's good to get something in. We don't have the splitter cabinet, but if this project goes well, it's going to really lay out how our overhead deployment goes. It's a very easy project to build. It looks like we've never built one, but it looks like it's going to be a lot easier. And going with that, as our staff completed the FlexNAP design training, Corning's going to supply us with the engineering design software to design this software in-house. This is going to save us in the neighborhood of $1 million to be able to let our staff do this design with their provided software. They want to sell their product. They know the easiest way to sell their product is allow us to design it. And myself, Justin Milligan, and David Garcia went through the training about a week ago. And it seems fairly straightforward. So we're going to start, as soon as this one goes up, we're going to start designing those up after that. some materials rolling in for the underground stuff. We're still missing some parts and pieces. Once they show up, we'll start knocking it out. Now, y'all approved what I'm calling the return on investment CIP project at $750,000. We've devised a spreadsheet that allows us to put in all the parts and pieces for these when either a customer or an individual or a developer calls and wants our service. We're able to plug all the parts and pieces into the spreadsheet, and it gives us the numbers out immediately and allows us to know whether that return on investment is quick enough to make it get that 3-year window. We've got the first one we plugged in last week. It's right off our line on Snows Mill. The numbers look great. It's a $66,000 investment with a 3-year return of $92,000, $93,000. So that seems like a roll off the log, get the money. So we're gonna plug a couple more through it and start moving forward on that. And I will take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Brian. The Bell Mead Primary Electric Project.
Yes, sir. As you probably have seen if you have ridden up and down Alcovey Street, there's a hotel being built on Bell Mead Drive. Well, there was another house built at the other end, and that underground wire was put in, to the best of my knowledge, sometime between 1989 and 1990. Actually, it was one of the first projects I worked on when I came to work at the city. And I believe it had to be in that, because I came in spring of '89, so it had to be right in that window. The technology was old, the wire, the time, the capacity, it just doesn't have the capacity of the wire I would put in today for that street. Wire started failing on the end where you go up to the Felker house. It failed multiple times to where we had to just replace it. We dug that in. And now it's starting to fail coming back up the road. We've had multiple splices we've had to put in it. Even to the point, my staff came to me and said, we cannot put that size house on this wire. So we had to work with the homeowner and bring that wire in off of Alcovey Street so we could make sure we could serve those customers. But myself and my staff are looking at that wire, and we don't think it has a lifespan of, it could break in 5 minutes or it could break in 5 weeks, but it's gonna break. So we'd planned on doing a capital improvement project for a wire replacement throughout the city, underground wire replacement, starting next year. We've been talking with Jackson EMC and Walton EMC, looking at how they do their projects. And it's basically, they have somebody out there all the time. Jackson's huge, drilling in these things. Well, we got a price from one contractor so far. We are trying to get a price from another. At least I'm trying to get Pike to tell me they won't bid it, because they won't give me a price. So I got the one price. It will not exceed this. I'm gonna do my best to get another price from another underground guy, but we're looking at a total of, let me get back there, $74,686 to have that wire completely replaced. What the guy has promised me he would do was pull in that, the communications conduit along with the power conduit. It cost him nothing more. He's not gonna charge me for it. I'm gonna have to stick it in the communications boxes. But this wire needs to be replaced. I can only be in one place at once. I need to be up here at Publix, so I need to hire someone to knock this out. So we're asking for $74,686 to get this repaired. And I'll take any questions y'all may have.
So they're gonna have to rebore the whole thing?
Whole street, a little over 3,000 feet.
But we'll be running conduit for fiber at the same
We'll
time.
be running conduit for power and fiber. We have not put any power in the ground since about '07 without putting conduit. Conduit wasn't a thing back in '89. It wasn't a thing you did. But if this had conduit in it, we just pull the old wire out and pull the new wire in, and we'd be done. It can't be done. So we're just gonna drill it, put the new conduit in, put both conduits in at the same time.
Brian, the
Yes.
74,000, you mean 686? What's the difference in that and the 59,500?
59,000 is the labor. We're gonna pull stock items, the wire and the elbows are gonna come out of stock. But we're gonna, as Mr. Little pointed out to me, well, Brian, you have to replace that stock. So I said, yes, sir, I do. So we're gonna replace the stock.
So roughly $15,000 worth of materials, is that what you're saying?
Yeah. And I was
I
asking,
think he's got it listed 15,186 is the material.
Yes, sir.
It's on the next page that you're looking at.
Yeah, I've got a list of all that stuff.
Oh, I see it, I'm sorry.
yeah. So if we were doing this ourselves, we could do it for much cheaper. I mean,
Oh, yeah, if we had the capacity to do everything we're doing and this, I would love to do it myself.
Is there a motion to approve?
I move approval.
Motion by Ms. Bradley, is there a second? I'll second. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. We recommend.
Thank you.
Full council. IPT reserve sale update, Brian.
Yes, sir. If you remember, a couple of months ago, we did a group of IPTs, interparticipant transfers of capacity between multiple cities. We do this pretty much every year. We trade out a little capacity to a city that doesn't have their federally required capacity, and they send us a little money. I believe this is, let me see, Hogansville. Yeah, the city of Hogansville had a customer that was coming that unfortunately did not. And so they required less energy capacity from us for their IPT. It's basically gonna bring down that money that we were getting for all these interparticipant transfers down about two grand. So but Logan and I discussed it, it is a contract, MEAG level contract, and we do need y'all to stay grace over it.
move to approve.
Second.
You made the motion?
Yes, sir.
And second by Mr. Bradley. All those in favor say aye.
Question on that, it doesn't matter before or after the vote. Do we try to, does MEAG set us up to replace that loss, or do we just,
No, we just don't.
we just care, I mean, it's only,
It's our,
only a couple of grand, but still, I just didn't know.
it was money we would never get if this participant wasn't prepared to take this capacity from, we'd never get it anyway. We still have to pay for it, because it's our capacity. So we're just getting a little less back than we would be getting.
Is there a potential for that excess capacity to go elsewhere?
Through the participants, no, but through a project, yes. If we have a economic development project that comes in, yes, we could be, that capacity could go elsewhere.
There was a motion by Mr. Gregory and second by Mr. Larry Bradley. All those in favor say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Mr. Middlebrooks, water, sewer, and gas.
Thank you, thank you, Mr. Little. Just a couple of updates on some of our major projects. Natural gas, the main extension there at MAB is all completed outside of a 180-foot crossing on Transco. They threw us a loop at the last minute, and they're requiring us to encase that 180-foot. So the casing's all in now, and they'll be welding it together this week, and we'll have that project finished. The sewer crew finished the pipe bursting on South Madison. There was a section there that was somehow left out of the CDBG project by our engineers. That's been fixed and completed, and so we're ready to, I guess, proceed with the paving. The Alcovey River 138 sewer, that pre-construction meeting has been held. Pipe's already been delivered, and anticipating Mid-South to get started in 2 weeks on that one. Actually had the pre-construction meeting on the pump station and the force main yesterday morning with Reliance contractors. Sewer plant design for the rehab. We're currently grading the proposals for the equipment. So as soon as we get those done, we'll be ready to go out to bid for the labor side of it. And the Cedar Ridge, some good news on the Loganville water line. Cedar Ridge section has been completed, and by the end of this week, the Trident Trail and Loganville end will be completed. So we'll be ready to start chlorination on the line, and hopefully be selling Loganville some water here in the next 2 or 3 weeks. So it's winding down, and finally. And any more questions on any of the other projects, I'll be more than happy to answer those.
How's the sewer plant holding up?
We're making it.
You making it?
Yeah, a few more ace bandages, and hopefully we'll make it.
Any other questions? No, thank you, Rodney.
Thank you.
We have, Mayor.
Thank you, everybody. Mr. Bradley, Public Safety.
Yes, we'll go to the fire department. Battalion Chief Dykes, you got our report tonight?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Bradley. We'll briefly go over the incident rundown that you all have in front of you. For the month of, let's see, this is going to be February, we had 178 incident responses, 6 of those being fires, with 1 of those actually being a residential fire. Interesting thing about that fire was that the neighbors saw it before the homeowners, grabbed a garden hose, and I think they took out a window and started putting it out in a bedroom. So they were able to quickly contain it before our crews got there. So kudos to folks in the community willing to help out. And so therefore, there was very little in fire loss there. And as usual, our majority of our responses were EMS/rescue, motor vehicle collisions, et cetera. A couple things going on around the fire station right now. Thanks to Mr. Bailey's help, we have the monument repair that is in process now. So that is finally beginning to look a lot better on the front side of the station after the person ran into it, I guess, about 6 months ago. This has been an ongoing project. I did speak with a representative from Badge Pass yesterday. The Badge Pass project is one of our CIPs for this year. They stopped by the station yesterday. The ball is rolling on that, so we will soon have a much more secure station. And currently, we are providing as available assistance with Walton County EMA's vaccination pod at Criswell Park on Wednesdays and Thursdays, which is now open to the public. So if anybody missed the sign up or changed your mind after that passed for municipal and county employees and their families, Wednesdays and Thursdays, Criswell Park, we are doing Moderna vaccinations. And so we're supporting that, and it has been a fairly, I would say it's extremely successful, especially never having done something like this. And Carl Morrow, the EMA director, has done an excellent job of streamlining that. So for those of you all that have been through it, I mean, it's a drive-up deal. You come in, and by the time I see you, all I have to do is ask you a few questions and then inject you and send you on to the next location. So that's what we have at the moment, and I'll answer any questions anyone has at the moment.
Appreciate y'all helping with that vaccination. That's
Oh, yes, sir.
important we get that out.
After we get back to normal, I think the happier everybody will be.
Anyone have any questions?
I was just wondering, do we know how many vaccinations we've given out thus far?
The initial order that EMA received was 500 Moderna vaccinations. That 500, we did 3 days the first week, which was originally the one that was open for government employees. Then the governor opened it up to everybody. I believe the second shipment of 500 will start tomorrow. So it looks like so far we're on hand in this county to have 1,000 so far, and it just depends. I'm not sure how EMA is dealing with Department of Public Health on that, but I guess as long as they've got the supply and as long as we're utilizing them in an effective manner, that will continue indefinitely, I guess. The only thing is that in 4 weeks, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens, because in 4 weeks, the folks that we just did last week will be coming back for their second dose. And then if you have new people coming in, so that's a whole logistical deal. But on the bright side, I can say we're the manpower, so that is someone else's, that's someone else's headache on that. But the more the merrier. And, you know, just a personal note, I've taken the vaccine, took it as soon as it was available to EMS providers. Highly recommend it. I know that there's a lot of concern with some folks, and I fully understand that, but just a personal note that, you know, I've done it, my wife is in the process of doing it. I think it's important to get us all back to as normal as we can be. But that's just a personal note.
Thanks.
Yes, sir.
I think we wanted some equipment to get the exhaust out of the fire department.
Yes, sir.
Can you tell us about that?
Yes, so, in 2003, I believe it was, we received a federal grant for about $60,000 to put in the diesel exhaust extraction system. And for those of you all that remember what it was like when we could have the meals at the fire station, that's what those weird tubes are that are either hanging down from the tracks, or usually when y'all are there, we've got them looped up so that they're out of the way. Those are designed to hook up to the exhaust pipes on all of our trucks. And when the engines on those trucks are running, it has a vacuum basically, and it pulls the diesel particulates out, because we have people that live there 24 hours a day. And diesel soot and exhaust has been proven to be a major carcinogen. So that was a big deal. That was 2003, I believe that was installed. Well, over the years, there have been numerous preventative maintenance issues that have arisen that just due to funding or just whatever reason were kind of pushed by the wayside. And it finally has gotten to the point where it's virtually ineffective because we have so many deficiencies with it, but it's also approaching 20 years with very little reinvested in it. We were able to receive a federal grant to get this system back up operational. The total grant was written for $27,350, with the federal share being $26,047.62, and our share was originally $1,302.38. Kind of like was mentioned before, prices of everything have gone up, and we have a sole source provider to do the repairs. We have had a little bit of an overage, so our share of this would be $1,814.13 for a $27,000 repair. I think that's a pretty good use of funds, but that would should not take very long once they're here to get that system back up and operational, and it will be a tremendous benefit to our folks that are living in the station.
Anyone have any questions? With 2 of our 4 members absent tonight, are we okay with a quarter to vote?
We need to move it to next week, or can we do it on consent?
Yeah,
Yeah, on public safety, let's move everything that needs action. It'd just be this one item. Let's move it.
One item.
Just move it to the full council for action next week.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
That's all we have, Mr. Mayor.
I think you have
I'm
RB.
sorry. Police Department, excuse me, Chief Watts.
Don't forget about me. Thank you, Mr. Bradley. This is our February monthly report. Our calls for service that we had was 1,428. That's 100 calls down from where we were this time last year. Our area checks was 8,722, which is up 4,000 than what we were this time last year. Our court cases are up just a little bit. Training hours are up. Part 1, Part 2 crimes are down from 2020. And you see we had 35 adult arrests. Some major incidents that we had from February was, we had the incident in front of the Family Dollar Quality Food with the 85-year-old being assaulted. And I told you guys about it when it happened. One of the things that I pride our department on was how quick we responded to that. We were able to, from time 911 was called to the time we made the arrest was 8.5 minutes, which, I keep, bringing this up every time about the response time of the officers on any kind of incident we're called to, and that shows you just how effective that was in that incident. One of the things I wanted to talk about, and I'm waiting on my sergeant to get here with it, and I'll come back to it. We had our MPD awards banquet on February the 5th. I was very appreciative that the council allowed us to move forward with that. These officers, after going through a year of dealing with everything with COVID, they needed that night to be recognized. And of course, very grateful to the business owners that came together and actually supported our department and had a kind of after awards banquet for them. And it was a very good time had by all, and very thankful for all the officers, for the business owners that put that together for us. Another thing I want to talk about was our clearance rate. The instance we had from February, we were able to make some very effective arrests on that. So our clearance rate from this time last year is up by 18%. Sorry about that. What I wanted to show you, though, this is something new technology that we just implemented at the police department. This is the Rapid ID. So now when the officers get out with individuals on the street that, typically want to lie to us, this here, they'll scan their index finger or their middle finger, and they'll tell us any kind of hit they got on GCIC or NCIC. So we bought 2 of these, so these things are new on the street, and I'm curious to see just how truly effective this is going to be. It's something we've been needing for a long time, because again, somebody can sit here and tell us anything, and there's no way to be able to prove it, but you can't hide your fingerprints. So. And if any of y'all want to check it out after the council meeting's over, we'll be glad to scan your fingers.
Notice how Dykes.
I know Logan just came back from Florida, so. Anyway, getting back to it, another thing you're going to see coming out here shortly, I showed Logan this the other day. We did put together a recruiting video. I know mid-year we talked about having 2 more positions to be able to put on the force. I think Logan thinks it was a pretty good video, so you'll be seeing that coming out soon. It was very professionally done. And lastly, I want to introduce our newest officer. This is Travis Philhauer here in the back. He's coming to us from a local agency here. He's a 6-year law enforcement veteran, infantry, Army vet as well. So very grateful and thankful to have him on the force, and I'll be happy to entertain any questions if you have any.
If just looking at the people that got awards, just on one person, the Employee of the Year. Can
Yes,
you tell us a little bit about that person and why they got the award?
Well, this person here is very unique. He just completed recently instructor school, and then he went to DRE instructor school. Now, DRE is drug recognition expert, and these officers here can tell you that's a challenging school in itself. You have to really know everything there is to know about drugs, the effects of them, to be able to read a person's bodies, their eyes, pulse rate, telling them what kind of drugs that they're actually on. That's just to become a DRE. And I think that's about a 6-month course or so. It's about a 6-month course. Now, this individual, Stephen Pierce, has become an instructor in the state of Georgia. So now he goes down to Gypstick, which I think is pretty cool to have. I got 5 DREs in the police department now, which most agencies don't even have 1. We got 5. And now to have an instructor that actually is going to be teaching other officers across the state of Georgia to get that certification is pretty impressive in itself. But it's not just that. He also got if you see on the awards here, he got a life-saving award as well. And these awards are picked by the division commanders of those organizations over the Criminal Investigation Division. So he's done a good job, but to narrow down on that one, really, honestly, Mr. Bradley, over the rest of them, you see there's multiple there. I brag on these officers all the time. They do a great job. So just to pick out the one, it was hard for us to pick that, but he definitely earned that.
Good, thank you. And we also appreciate those people that have 15, 20, 25
Yes,
years
sir.
of service.
Absolutely.
Long time with the police force.
Well, that's something I think we should strive to do is keep tenure in our organization.
Anyone have any questions from Chief Watts? Yeah, Mr. Mayor, we're finishing.
The only question I have, and it stands to reason, we had 100 fewer calls for service. Do you think that's probably because we're hitting the area checks?
Well, I do say that, but I also see, around March is when we started seeing the COVID thing. But I do think a lot of that attributes to the area checks. You're seeing more officers, the visibility. I came into town yesterday morning, And before I got off South Broad to the police department, I'd already passed 3 officers. And I love that. I love being able to ride around and I see multiple officers at any given time patrolling the city. And again, there's no way to put a price or to gauge the deterrent of a police officer, how they deter crime just by their mere presence. So that's what we want. And I want to get more of them on the road.
I know the business owners appreciate it too, I mean, which is why, of course, they do the party for the guys.
Absolutely, absolutely. Very grateful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley. Thank you, RV. Thank you, Dykes. Moving to planning and code, Mr. Kelly?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This report's pretty typical of our reports. I just wanted to hit some highlights before I moved on to a couple other things I'd like to mention. We did 129 code inspections and had 106 total permits. We had 12 new businesses and 5 closed businesses in that same time frame, which is we're covering in February. The city marshal removed 89 signs from the roadway and wrote 162 repair cleanup notices and made 27 contacts with businesses about keeping the grounds clean on the corridor. Hadn't had tremendous effect yet, but I'm sure if citations start to go out or we get some corporate contact, that'll get a lot better. Just wanted to mention a few things in the code department with staffing and things. We had a retirement of Officer Mura as a marshal, so we'll be replacing a marshal position. We also have Debbie Atkinson, who's been with us for quite some time, retiring in August of this year. And so we'll be hiring her replacement as well so that they can get in here and try and get a small part of what she does down pat before they get turned loose on their own. And then in addition to that, we've also got the building inspector position advertised to replace the ongoing inspections with the company that we've been with, Bureau Veritas, for many years. So we'll be working on that as well. And if you've got any questions about that or anything else, I'll be happy to answer them.
Are there any questions for Mr. Kelly? Thank you, Patrick. Moving to economic development, Sadie, could you take that, please?
Yes, thank you. Just a recap from March, we did have our first event of the year downtown. It was the car show, and it was the largest car show we've ever had. We had over 480 cars entered into that, and usually we're right around 300, right below 300. So that's a significant increase. The event went very well considering the number of people that were here and just the logistics with volunteers and all the things that go into that event. So we're very pleased to have that, and if that's an indication of people being comfortable to gather and get out, we'll see what happens with the rest of our events throughout the year. The City of Monroe Branding Initiative with Carl Vinson Institute is underway. The public input portion happened throughout the month of March. We had incredible participation. Over 1,000 people filled out the online survey, which is more participation from a community that they've ever seen. In addition to that, there were personal interviews and focus groups. They'll be going through that data, getting that back to our Monroe Branding Steering Committee, which is made up of a group of citizens, and they'll be working on it for the rest of the year for us to hopefully have something to roll out to the public and to all of you in time for our bicentennial celebration in November. There's some other notes on here. Obviously, the cleanup day, we have a big banner that we'll be putting up the Monday of when there's the free dumping the free trash, bring your trash for free for citizens. That week happens the week prior to the cleanup day. So we'll have that banner out. And then that Saturday, April 24th, is when we'll have the event here with volunteers. And one more thing that's not on the report, but I wanted to mention, we have been selected as a Georgia Exceptional Main Street, the City of Monroe. And the Georgia Main Street program from the Department of Community Affairs will be here next Tuesday to officially present that to our city. So congratulations to all of you. Your support and participation have helped us achieve this. We're one of, I think, 19 cities in the state that have this designation. So it's a big deal, so thank you.
That's awesome. Congratulations. Are there any questions for Sadie? I only have one. What is Unicorn Day?
Yes, Friday, April 9th is National Unicorn Day. You know, if you dig deep enough, every day is a celebration of something. And so some of our local businesses, it was started by Story Shop, said, could we do an event? And we said, sure. And so they've gone around and talked to a lot of other retailers and restaurants. And there will be a number of unicorn-themed activities and products, and there'll be balloons. It's just an easy, fun way to have one more thing to celebrate.
Pretty easy to explain dock dogs. Okay, this is cool, but I just didn't. When somebody asked, I went, I got nothing.
It's a one-of-a-kind magical day.
How Disney-ish of you. Thank you. Are there any other questions for Sadie? Hearing none, Ms. Crawford Parks.
Thank you. Mr. Bailey?
Thank you, ma'am. Couple of quick updates. Pilot Park, we actually have the shade structures in possession. They're at the warehouse, and I almost messed up and allowed the company to install them this week, and then I realized it was spring break, so I didn't figure that would be a good week to shut the park down for 3 days. And then Matthews Park, we are actually looking at hopefully getting the restroom set in place first middle of this coming week. Weather's kind of cooperating with us, and the company has gotten us on schedule to take a look at everything and get that finally put in place, get that kind of behind us, and then we'll move forward, maybe take a look at Pilot Park or Childers perhaps for maybe the next restroom structure. We'll kind of see what happens this year. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
Any question for Mr. Bailey? Thank you. That's all.
Thank you, Ms. Crawford. Thank you, Mr. Bailey. Move into items for discussion, public hearing variance at 211 Baker Street. Mr. Kelly?
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a variance request by CMH Real Estate LLC at 211 Baker Street. It's a property owned by Dr. Plaster and their group, and they are looking to exceed the maximum allowable 120% of required parking on their site for reasons of business operability, and basically they're trading out building size for additional parking, but they're still remaining under the 60% impervious surface limits and any other requirements that our zoning ordinance would have for that site.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Patrick?
Is this parking lot separate from the other parking lot that's currently there? Is it just for this building, or I know seems like these things sort of merge, I guess.
Yeah, they do merge. There's interconnectivity in the parcels like we desire so that there's better flow of traffic. But they are two separate parcels, but they will be tied together with the driveway.
But is the main entrance into the parking going to be off of Baker or off of Spring?
Yes. There'll be a main entrance to Dr. Plaster's office area off of Spring Street, and then there'll be an additional main entrance for this wellness center off of Baker Street.
Any other questions?
Process-wise, we've changed things up a little bit, tried to add a little bit more information to the packet. Y'all let us know if, it's not working, or if you want to see anything else.
Yeah, and I did fail to mention our recommendation was for approval without conditions, and also planning and zoning's was as well.
I think I noticed that. I was actually gonna, well, I wasn't gonna ask, I was gonna ask later, but where we've got the staff analysis and 1 through 8, those are kind of what we used to have, right? They were your suggestions of how to look at a variance, and it seems like they're more formal now. Is that what's happened?
I really like the way you've done that.
Yeah, it's nice.
Those are the requirements that are, and Brad does this variance staff report as the planner, but these are the items for consideration that are listed in our zoning ordinance. They've always been formally there.
Okay, but they're more, whereas
They're in a
we had
new
questions
report.
before.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
That looks great.
Thank you, Mr. Kelly. I have a couple of appointments. Historic Preservation Committee, Faye Brassey's term will expire on May 1st, 2021. She's confirmed that she would like to be reappointed for another 3-year term, so that would be expiring in May of 2024. Also, Susan Brown's term expired on the tree board on March 1st. We did advertise the vacant position. Mr. Hunter Blair has submitted a request to serve on that board, so we'll have his appointment on next week's agenda also. Moving to 3A, our action item at the airport. Do you want to handle this, Chris?
Yes, sir, thank you. This is a request to have Atlanta Paving and Concrete Construction, who is paving the runway currently, to pave around the completed hangar building, where we've added 12 units to the airport. Staff has built everything up to a ready-to-pave situation, and the timing of it, with the airport being shut down, with them already being on site, it eliminates our mobilization cost to get a company to come in and pave that large of an area, and asking for approval by council to allow them to do that. And we're using 2013 SPLOST funds to pay for this, and that will complete the new T-hangar. So once the runway opens back up, we'll have tenants.
Perfect, thank you. And we can act on that now as an entire council, or? Okay.
So we moved it, and the reason why we did that rather than defer to next week is they're making significant progress out there right now, so if they can get to it over the next week at all, it'd be worth it.
I just didn't know with the way the committee was shaping up, I just wanted to make sure. Okay, I need a motion to approve, please.
To approve.
Motion by Mr. Gregory, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Little, is there any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries, that passes.
Thank you.
Moving to the mayoral update, I just have a few things. One goes hand in hand with Sadie's information about the 24th being Community Cleanup Day. I sent out a note last night to preachers, pastors, NG3, the coaches at Monroe area, asking them to participate. Told them that we would have Kona ice here, although I said Kona ice, and it's just tomato. So I have asked for community volunteer to put that on their schedules. And I would ask each of you to please do the same. The more the merrier, and we really need to address this trash issue. Also, May 6th is the National Day of Prayer, so that same text included that with all of them. Last year, we met socially distanced at the flagpole. This year, we might be a little more up close, but I'm expecting about 15 to 20 representatives of the various churches in town. Most of you know that we had our traffic calming meeting last week. Had a lot of positive comments, a lot of not so positive comments, a lot of comments that were basically saying, we want what you're doing in neighborhood X in our street, and it's not on your list. So public comment at monroega.gov, right, is the email. So tell your friends, families, neighbors, and constituents to let us know their preferences, because we want to do our best to please everybody, and we know it's impossible, but it's real enlightening to see the folks who took advantage of that. Travis, glad you're here, man. Congratulations. Thank you for being with us. On the way out, if y'all would say hello to him and introduce yourselves. That being said, are there any other questions before we adjourn? I'll take a motion.
Move to adjourn.
A motion by Mr. Little. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Gregory. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carries. That passes. Good evening, everybody. Thank you.